From Bozeman, we moved to the Texas Hill Country, where my father got hired on a ranch that the owners were turning into one of those canned hunting outfits where you pay to shoot fenced-in African wildlife. They were selling off the cow-calf operation that came with the place, so there wasn't really much for my father to do but watch the Mexican cowboys load up the stock trucks and go to the stockyard in San Antonio and make sure all the cattle are accounted for. Rio County, Texas was a long way from the mountains of Montana, and I could still hardly stand to look at my father because of what had happened with Isaac. But when the exotic game started showing up, gazelles, sable antelope, zebra, it was easy to believe that we had moved to Africa instead of Texas. We love those animals. My father was gone a lot, taking care of ranch business, he said. I was fine with Chris and me. Sometimes he'd leave out one day and come back the next, I thought, because he was too drunk to drive home. But when he started being gone a couple days at a time, Chris and I knew the old man was up to something. My mother was a teacher. I think I mentioned that before. Her teaching and tutoring got us through the times when my father got fired or was out of work. Texas was one of the places where Chris and I went to the same school she was teaching. And it was at school that we found out what the old man was up to. Chris overheard some teachers talking about our mother, how everybody in town knew that her husband was keeping a girlfriend in San Antonio. Next day, school fired her for having insufficient moral character. Like maybe she was a part of whatever he got himself into. Well, getting fired was the straw that finally broke the camel's back. She put all my father's things in plastic trash bags, lined the trash bags up on the porch of the little house we lived in. When he finally showed up 2 days later, Chris and I were outside packing up the car. I stopped what I was doing, went to the porch, got 2 of the trash bags, threw them in the back of his truck, went back for more. What the hell you think you're doing? He said. Mom and Chris and me are going back to Montana, I told him. And you can go to hell. I was 16. Thought I was a pretty tough customer by then. Yeah, that started a whole lot of ugly hollering back and forth till my mother came out, told me to go back to packing for Montana. And she walked over to him, still sitting in his truck, crossed her arms, which she did when she meant business. Started talking in a low voice we couldn't hear. When she had said what she had to say, she went back inside and closed the door like there was a baby asleep inside. Me and Chris watching. My father got all the bags off the porch into the back of his truck. Said some ugly things about our mother and drove off. But he skidded to a stop near the gate, got out, pulled his rifle from the gun rack, and started shooting at the gazelles that were in the pasture across the fence. His first shot killed one and they scattered, but he kept shooting until he ran out of ammunition. threw the gun on the seat of his truck, got in, drove away. When my mother came running out of the house, afraid of what she would find. "He shot a Grant's Gazelle," I said. So we all three, her and Chris and me, walked out into the pasture to find it. "Poor thing," she said. "I guess you better field dress it so we can butcher it." She cooked a backstrap for our dinner. We gave the rest to the cowboys, Manuel and Luis. She was too practical to let good meat go to waste, even if it was an animal killed so senselessly. About 10 years ago, I was just getting ready to move to Camado. I drove down to Thermopolis, where my father was in the hospital. Cigarettes and booze were finally getting their pound of flesh back. He was asleep when I got there, so I just sat next to his bed, waited for him to wake up. I hadn't seen him since that day he killed the Gazelle, and now he's looked like any old man in a hospital bed, fighting for breath. When his eyes opened, I leaned in close and said, "I know it was you killed Sonny Renfro." Closed his eyes and looked away from me. But killing Sonny didn't bring Chris back, did it? I wasn't sure if he heard me, till he said, "When you got your fill of preaching, you can walk out that door."